Yo, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Cards in Hand, the podcast all about One Piece and the One Piece card game. We've got episode 11 here. Myself, the Luffy TV, Luffy TCG, joined by my man FTC Hobby, aka Daniel.
Howdy.
Good to see you, brother. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening, if you're watching, we want to say, one, sorry. It's been a little bit since the last episode, but we've had a lot going on, to be fair.
Yeah.
I was sick for probably like 8 to 9 days, so that was terrible. I didn't want to be coughing throughout an episode the whole time, so that was rough. And then I had a test event that I was commentating at the very beginning of April, as well as some other online events that I was in. I know you were in Arlington.
Mm-hmm.
How did that end up going?
It was an absolute disaster, Ian.
It Dang.
No, I mean, but honestly, I really don't know how else to put it. It was an absolute disaster.
What were you playing?
I went up there. Hey, I went up there with Red Purple Law, knowing full well I was going to be swimming in a sea of Gecko Morias.
Yeah.
And I was like, screw it, man. Like, there's going to be a ton of Kata because this is right when Katakuri was winning, like,
Right.
back-to-back weekends.
Yeah.
And, like, one thing I've noticed is, like, when a leader starts becoming hot, people jump on it quick. And so the thought is like, just give me 8, 9, 10 katas and I'm chilling, like every
Top cuts in the bag.
I'll be fine. That did not happen, actually. I ran into several Gecko Morias, and your boy said after losing to my second Gecko Moria, I was like, you know what, I'm hanging out with friends here up in Dallas. It's a beautiful day. I'm hungry. So yeah. It was, I mean, honestly, like, I knew what I was getting into bringing Red Purple Law up there. It felt like a dice roll before I even started the first match. And again, like, this is where my continual battle with competitive One Piece resides with me, is that I want to play decks that I have fun playing. Like, I genuinely have. Red Purple Law has been like my thing since it came out. Like, I've loved this deck from the beginning. I've been playing it locals from the beginning. It has always been like my favorite deck since its release. And so I was like, you know what, I want to play a deck that I'm gonna have fun with. And Gecko Moria, it's not unwinnable, but damn, like, you've got to see the cards and they have to see nothing. Is kind of the way that matchup feels. And they saw the cards and I didn't, and I was just like, you know what. But again, kind of going back to what I was saying, is like, like, I knew what I was going into bringing that deck, and this is my battle. Is like, do I just play just like Gecko Morias and Sakazukis, and just like, how serious am I gonna take the competitive aspect of this? Because I love winning. I'm not gonna lie, like, I love winning. Yeah, exactly. Like, like, as much as I want to sit here and just say it's all about fun and I'm just here to have fun, that's mostly true. Like, I'd say 55, 60% true, right? Like, it's mostly, but not by much.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, well, I'm not having fun when I'm losing, right? So that's the hard aspect. So
there's like a soft balance that you have to reach between playing something competitive enough to where you're winning, and that's the fun aspect, but also that you enjoy playing how the deck plays out. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I will say this, and this is something that I've voiced in the past, is like, because I had this discussion about Sakazuki in set 5. I could not wait for Sakazuki to come out. Like, it was right up my alley. I was like, this is perfect. I've been waiting for this. I don't like mirror matches, generally speaking. And so, like, when a deck becomes insanely popular and I choose to pick, like, if I were to play a Gecko for this last tournament, I don't want to do 6 or 7 mirror matches. Like, I don't know. So, like, again, like, I'm trying to find the balance in all of this. And I will say this, and we can kind of get out of this topic because I suck at One Piece and it is what it is. But
you and me both.
Stop this. We're about to like highlight your amazing tournament results of recent. So stop this. Stop the cap. Stop the cap. But no, I have finally come to a point to where, like, I've been playing Red Purple Law for so long, I feel like I can kind of play the deck in my sleep.
Yeah.
And that's not to say it's an easy deck. It's just like I've gotten so many reps in. So now that extra boosters come along, and this has kind of been like the launching point for Red Purple Law going forward
Mm.
in terms of being super competitive. I've now committed to saying, you know what, you're gonna play Red Purple Law. You're
Yeah.
gonna commit to this deck. It's gonna be top tier. You've been waiting 3-4 months, for something like this to happen. Like, here's your chance. And so, like, my commitment now is Red Purple Law. It's gonna suck with the mirror matches, but it is what it is.
Yeah. And
But
I think as
it's
far as like mirror matches, that deck is
mhm,
very interesting because it doesn't feel
mhm,
like there's a one of list.
mhm.
It feels like there are a lot
There's a
of
lot of tech choices in that deck.
yeah, I would say there's like a solid 42 cards that are just
Mhm,
like 100% used.
mhm.
But then there's like this 8 card slot that
Yep.
are either bringing 3 ofs up to 4 ofs or
Right.
bringing just taking one card out of the deck completely and then putting in
Yep.
4 of another. So
Yep.
I do find that really interesting about the Red Purple Law, and like you said, EB01 is going to boost that deck to a whole new height, so that's
Yep.
going to be interesting to see, and we're going to be talking about EB01
Yeah,
very
we'll go into
shortly.
that. We'll go into it for
Yeah,
sure.
but
But let me
prior to
transition. Wait. I want to
oh
transition this. Let me. There's no spotlight to shine on me. I like throw me into the shadows
oh
of embarrassment when it comes to my tournament results. But Ian, my guy, my dude, top 32,
top
dude.
32.
Massive congratulations. I know that was a while back, and I
Yeah,
texted you the day of, and I was like, "Yo, my guy, congratulations." But dude, super happy for you, man.
thank you.
You used a, you know, I harp on red, purple, ball, but black is like the roots of One Piece for me. It's
Same.
what I
Yeah.
learned playing, and
You and
you and
I
I
on
both being
Smoker.
smoker fans. Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. I think we both kind of took black as like the color that we really enjoyed playing, and you did it with Gecko Moria, man. So
Yeah.
massive congratulations, dude. Like,
Thank you, man. I mean,
yeah, I
taking
don't.
top 32 so far, highest placement. Very excited about that. Still have a long way to go to get my first ever top 8. But I was one game away from potentially getting top 8. Like I was one game away from guaranteeing top 16.
Mhm.
But if I had won that last game, I believe because he ended up getting top 8, I think
Dang.
that I would have. And
Mm.
I was it's a little soul crushing, but at the same time, I was super proud of myself. I
Yeah,
felt
dude.
like I played really tight that day.
Mhm.
And I got to take home some incredible prizing.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so
Beautiful,
just
beautiful.
just having the kid as well as the finalist packs here it's so cool. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to the May treasure cups that are coming up because that's what I have been practicing for. I will
Mhm.
say though that the addition of EB01 throws a little bit of a wrench in my plans because it feels as though we're gonna see some different stuff. But prior to EB01 even coming out, we had starter deck 13 make a
Yes,
splash,
sir. Yes, sir.
and it's so cool because I mean, first off, I feel like thoughts on the starter deck as a whole. I love the idea of, what we had with starter deck 10 being the I want to say what was the 3 captains, right?
Yeah.
So you had the 3 captains, Law,
Mhm.
Kid, as well as Luffy.
Right.
Love that. Love the idea. And then they went into this starter deck 13 with the 3 brothers being
Right.
Sabo, Ace, and Luffy. It's so cool. I love these. I believe they're called Ultra starter decks, or maybe they're Ultimate. Ultimate.
I
It
believe.
might be
Yeah.
Ultimate. Yeah, but
Yeah.
Ultimate deck, starter deck, Ultimate deck.
Mhm.
I love them. But with
Yeah.
this one, we had a wild price craze going on because of the addition of that new pack that was
The
introduced.
alternate arts.
The
Yeah.
alternate arts getting put in there. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think it's awesome and I love
Mhm.
them.
Yeah.
However, like you normally speaking with a starter deck need to buy 2.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. You got to get your play set, so
you
you
get
need to.
you get your play
Right.
set, you're good to
Right.
go, right?
Right.
Now, even me, I bought like 4 of these
I know,
because I
dude.
was
I
like, I
know.
wanted to get the pack, and then I was just giving the, like I sold the little sealed version of it to
Mhm.
some local friends for like 10 or $15. So
Yeah.
I was like, it helps me make my money back a little bit, but realistically, I'm just helping somebody get the cards that they wanted for cheap. They didn't care
Sure.
about the
Sure.
alt arts.
Right.
So yeah, I think that these leaders are one incredibly well made. I love that yellow in this starter deck is essentially like how I've wanted yellow to be designed in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is that life manipulation without
Mm-hmm.
the reliance of triggers. It
Mm-hmm.
makes it so incredibly fun to play with. And I've personally been enjoying two of them. I've been enjoying Sabo a lot as well as Luffy.
Mm-hmm.
Sabo doesn't feel like it's quite there. Like it can do
Yeah.
stuff, but it's not quite there.
Yeah.
But
It
Luffy,
has some good there's a couple good matchups,
oh,
but I
100%,
would
yeah.
agree, generally speaking, I'm with you on that. Yeah.
Yeah, but Luffy, oh my god. That off
Yeah.
off the get-go, that leader is
Mm-hmm.
great. It's not
Mm-hmm.
going to be meta yet until
Mm-hmm.
OPO7 though, because Sakazuki is an insta loss. It
Yeah.
is the most miserable matchup ever. It is like,
Mm-hmm.
oh well, I had fun. Thanks for
Yeah.
playing. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to kind of like harp on the point that you were making in terms of the design of the three leaders, and this is
Mm.
something that I want to give Bandai huge kudos to. The three captains kind of made you look at, that was our first three life leader.
Yeah. Yeah.
Red Purple Law in itself, when I read the mechanic of that leader, I was like, what? Like, what? How does this doesn't really? I guess like I was kind of
Sure.
confused about the whole thing. I was like, yeah, okay. Then you see all the support cards, and and then you're like, all right, this makes a lot of sense. They did a great job with the three captains, just kind of like thinking outside the box per se when it came to One Piece.
Yeah.
And I feel like they've done the same thing with Starter Deck 13. For someone that's played One Piece since about midway through set 2, so a good while now, over a year now. When I first got my hands on the three brothers leader, the three, I was like, this is just such a cool way to reframe the TCG, like almost entirely. Like when you play with those leaders, it doesn't, I mean, yeah, it's One Piece, but it feels like almost like a subcategory of One Piece in a lot of ways, because
Yeah.
like the way the leaders make you think about the game a little bit differently than you traditionally would, particularly Black Yellow Luffy. Sabo's a little bit more like, I'm just gonna aggro you down kind
Right.
of thing.
Pretty
And there's
straightforward.
not, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Black
Yeah.
Yellow Luffy really makes you kind of like think a little bit more, sequence a little bit more,
Dude.
know your matchups better. Like when I first played that deck, I was like, I think the first time, two times, three times I played, I was like, how do you win with this leader? Like like how are people like treating this like such a good deck? And then I started to get the feel for it. And I just want to like, kind of like acknowledge and give a little tip of the hat to Bandai and the game developers for coming out with these three brothers, because they did a phenomenal job, in my opinion, like being creative and finding a new way to kind of play the game that is refreshing. It is fun. Like the Uta starter deck, there was nothing really like new about it,
Yeah.
right?
It's like 3 new cards,
attach
maybe.
it on, you swing, you take a card. Yeah,
Yeah.
like okay, like we're just kind of like going through the motions more or less.
Yeah.
Whereas the new leaders are a little bit more thought provoking.
Yeah.
And when I speak of this, I'm speaking primarily for Black Yellow Luffy. But I do want to say that it's funny, I've been playing a lot of Blue Yellow Ace.
Okay.
I love, like, it's super fun.
I knew you would like it, Ace.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just a weirdo like that. It's been a lot of fun to play, to not very much success, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
It's as of now, man, I don't know. I think it's closer to being like on Sabo's tier, the leader Sabo tier, than I think, because a lot of people are like, yeah, Sabo and Luffy, yeah, Ace not so much. I don't think the gap is really as far as like what I've heard some people express, and so I've been having a lot of fun with it. I've been mixing up the deck a little bit, and it's been having more success. But and I've actually here recently saw that it's one flagship or two with set 7, which is really cool to see that
Right.
that leader seems to have a little bit more of a future in the meta going forward. So
Yeah. I think
that
yeah, Blue Yellow Ace is one of those that right now it just doesn't have, in my opinion, it just doesn't have some of the pieces it needs, right?
Yeah.
However, when we do start to see some of the additions of OPO7, as well as some of the kind of random promo cards, there's these promo cards that are coming out of Ace, or Sabo and Luffy, if I'm not mistaken. And I think there's one of Ace, but they're they're more like, I'm not entirely sure what the promos are meant to be, but they're like kind of candid, like the characters in their like if they were in real life clothes and just
Okay.
eating, like there's one of Luffy eating like a hoagie. It looks like a meatball sandwich.
Okay.
And then there's one with Sabo, and Sabo's, it's like a yellow 2K counter, and something like that, 5 cost yellow 2K counter
Mm-hmm.
fits so well
Yeah.
into that ace being able to not only search out some of your more useful counter cards, but having
Right.
another target for your leader effect. um,
Right.
I do think that there's a world where that leader is going to be a top tier deck eventually,
Mm-hmm.
because it has such good playability, but I just don't think it has the cards yet to make it really shine.
Yeah,
um
I completely agree with that 100%. And
yeah.
to be fair, I think I think Black Yellow Luffy, while it's a lot more strong, I feel like it still isn't quite there yet either.
No, no.
It's not like it's a good deck, but I wouldn't call it like a competitive deck as it stands right now.
Yeah, OPO7 is where it just chef kiss.
Yeah,
It becomes incredible, absolutely
yeah,
incredible.
yeah, for sure, especially going into black,
Yeah.
which black kind of sticks around for quite a while, it would
Oh
appear.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I think also the detriment to Black Yellow Luffy is that people have also kind of learned how to play around it as well.
True.
And so that is an inherent weakness that it's like, oh, okay, now I know how to play. It's kind of like, Enel popped off when Enel first came up because they're like, dude, I can't kill this guy. Like I'm swinging, and I can't, like he just keeps. And then we're like, oh, okay, this is how you play against Enel.
Yep.
And I think we're quicker to realize how you play against Black Yellow Luffy now, and that's not helping its presence in the current meta either. Because in case you weren't aware, peeps, a really strong way to play against Black Yellow Luffy is to basically starve them,
Mm-hmm.
and then just kind of a go for game situation before they're even able to just build a board. It's almost like how you play a Nell. It's almost identical to how you play a Nell.
Yeah.
Build your board, keep their board clear. Don't activate, don't put them in a spot to activate, their leader ability, and then just be in a spot where you can go for game pretty comfortably. And ever since I've taken that approach, I don't know. I've had much more success going into Black Yellow Luffy than when I first started.
Yeah. It feels as though that deck relies on, if somebody's going to use that starve method, they rely on seeing the Makino, the
Hmm.
Hiyori,
Yep.
playing the 5 cost Luffy in hopes that it doesn't get removed, to have
Right.
the life trash and draw a
Hmm.
card. I mean, there's
The Sabo effect, if you want to,
Sabo
you
effect.
can KO their
Hmm.
their characters on their board and take a life, which helps out.
Right. There's so many ways that you can do it, but yet again, like seeing those pieces is not
Hmm.
as easy as it
It's not.
is
It's really
as it
not.
always
Yeah, you
seems.
would. Yeah.
Yeah, so like Flampe and EB01 is going to be a very good addition to, that kind of draw power, but also being able to neg down the life, get to a
Right.
spot where you can comfortably play your cards.
Right.
But yeah, I've played multiple matches now with as Gecko into Black Yellow Luffy, and at first
Hmm.
I thought it was an unwinnable matchup. I thought it was like, how do I beat Black Yellow Luffy when they just drop
It's
5 cost
Gecko's worst
Sabo?
matchup, is it not?
I wouldn't say it's its worst, but it's definitely
Okay.
not. It's definitely unfavored. Um,
Yeah.
but yet again, if you starve, like your key to victory is being able to play out multiple 8 cost Morias. If you can get at least 2 on the board,
Hmm.
it's almost impossible for Luffy to win if you can just kind of keep cycling your blockers, removing their
Hmm.
cards without having to swing into life. Um,
Sure.
I played a game yesterday where I had Black Yellow Luffy turn 7 at 3 life, and I had 2 Morias on board, like a 5 cost Sabo, a Borsalino, and like a Absalom or something.
Yeah.
But basically, I was removing any of his 5 costs through
Hmm.
like not using leader effect, but just through hard playing the cards, whether it
Hmm.
was Lucci or whether it was Absalom. Um, and then cycling some of those cards out with Sabo, playing 8 or Moria onto the board, and then bringing those cards right back again and just keep
Right.
KOing. And then
Right.
eventually, once I had 2 Morias, I was like, I can just swing, because you go up to
Yeah, you
9,
could.
Sure.
Yeah.
I've got
Yeah.
2 9Ks and 10 Dawn to work with. Let's go.
Right. Right.
So it was really like, I don't know, kind of it was kind of fun to realize like, oh, this matchup is winnable.
Yep.
It does feel like Moria's more reliant on seeing their pieces, but
Sure.
if you can see your pieces, then legitimately you have a shot. You just have to play it correctly and keep it slow. Yeah, I love it. It's so fun to test out a lot of these new decks, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see where these decks align in some of the future events. I mean, we've got these treasure cups coming up in May, so we have, I believe, on May 4th, this one will be EB01 will not be legal, if I'm not mistaken.
Makes sense. Yeah. I don't think so either. No.
Right, but then the treasure cups May 11th and May 18th. And by the way, for any of our international listeners, I do apologize. I'm just speaking of some of the online events that we have here in the U.S. I know there are many other events that will be happening worldwide. So a lot of the events won't have EB01 legal until at least the week after, which I believe EB01 goes legal, but like it launches May 3rd, I believe. So with that being said, the weekend of May 10th is when it should start to be legal for most events. And it's going to be interesting. I'm excited to see where, some of these starter deck 13 leaders place, RP Law coming into the meta. There's a lot of these really cool events that are coming out, and we've started to see, some of these test events. Like I had one here in Hampton, Virginia. We had one in Florida recently, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong with the name. Do not quote me on this, ladies and gentlemen, but I believe it's Oviedo, Florida, or like Oviedo, something like that. But they just had a test regional. So I love to see that we're having potential future TOs being welcomed in, because there is an insane demand here for these events. And just having that is incredible, I
agree. Yeah, and we actually saw, and granted these were the numbers through Japan, but there was a I wish what specifically it was, but basically it was like the numbers for all the big TCGs, and this was data that was accumulated, I guess, through some Japanese business. Pokemon was number 1, and that was, to no one's real surprise there. Yeah. But number 4 was One Piece, and it was not very far behind third place at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, a couple mil difference, what's in the grand scheme of things. I mean, Pokemon was like 300 million, like some kind of ungodly amount, and One Piece was like 50 or something. The numbers I forget exactly, but for One Piece being as new as it is, and to see it be fourth in terms of all the most popular TCGs, it was awesome to see, and it's something that you and I have mentioned before when we see it on a local level. I can't, like, it's been a year and a half and my locals are still 32 people, man. Like it's packed house when One Piece is going on.
Yeah.
So it's a great thing to see. I love it.
And where it's going to be even more packed is because of the store regionals that are coming out soon.
Yes.
So at least in the States right now, there's so little opportunity to get into these online events and regionals and stuff like that, that if you don't sign up within the first like 30 seconds to a minute, and are able to like type your your information so fast at godlike speed, you're not in. And so a resolution that they're going and maybe testing out here first is they're going with the store regionals. So all of the local shops and store owners have already went through the application period for these. And ladies and gentlemen, if you are listening right now, which I mean you would be, but
they got us on mute while they
got us on mute. Yeah, they're just like, wait, he just said something. Yeah.
They're just here to look at your beautiful face, Ian, while you just yap away on the mic, bro.
I mean, that's it's tough out here. But the user application period is going to be starting June 10th. So mark your calendars. June 10th is when we're going to be able to apply for the store regionals at your local shops. And I'm not entirely sure what it's going to look like as far as how many stores are going to be accepted into this, whether it's going to be like a first come, first serve thing, or if they're going to try and hit as many stores as possible. But this event looks awesome. There's going to be, I believe, 64 player cap, right? And it will be participation. You will get 3 booster packs. It doesn't specify exactly what, so I don't know if that would be OPO7. Because
this was whatever. If you're throwing me booster packs, I don't care. Whatever.
You're throwing me booster packs, love it, right? So 3 for participation. The top 16 out of the 64 players will receive one of the new event pack volume 4. Okay. Top 8 is going to be receiving one of the Luffy sleeves, which I believe were given out for the top 128 for the most recent April regionals. So 10 sleeves for that. That's very good looking. I've been using it recently. I love that sleeve. Yeah. Top 4 out of the 64, yet again, 64 player cap. So there might not be, depends on where you live, whether you're going to reach.
Could be
64.
40, could be 50. Yeah,
right.
Who knows?
Could even be 30, depends, right? But the top 4 players will receive their invite to the nationals. So top 4 out of 64 getting their invite. Love to see that. And now the interesting thing is, actually, let me finish the prizing first, then I'll go into what I think could be interesting. Top 2 actually receive, so first and second place will receive the regional finalist card set volume 2. So that's going to be the 1-cost Law Blocker, the 6-cost Rush Luffy that you attach to gain Rush, the 3-cost Double Attack Kid that was part of the Store Champ Volume 2, that was the winner card, and then the 10-cost Luffy, but just the vanilla. But you get all of these stamped finalists. Really cool. Love to see that. And the winner will get the OPO3 Charlotte Katakuri 8-cost regional gold around it and everything. That. So,
have we seen a yellow regional card like that yet?
Kinda. So, like, I believe in the Treasure Cup here in May, we are going to be getting the starter deck. Is it the starter deck 6? It's either starter deck 6 or 7. I think it's 7. The Linlin, the 7-cost Linlin.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
So that's going to be one. But then there's also, I think, something in the future that's going to have the 10-cost Big Mom as one. And now we have the 8-cost Charlotte Katakuri as well. So, like, really solid prize cards here, which is amazing. Now, my thing that I wanted to bring up, which I thought is interesting, I don't know the information on this yet, but I think that I would imagine they're going to continue to do this, is that the top 4, it says invite to North America Finals, right? To the national championship. The way that they did it previously with regionals was if you were in the top 16 or top 32 and you already had your invite, it would bubble down to the players in, like, let's say 33rd place, 34th, blah, blah, blah. So it's going to be interesting to see, like, if players already have their invite, and they get to participate in another event. Say you get into 3 events, you already have your invite. If you get top 4 every single time, will it trickle down? I would hope so.
I would imagine so.
I would imagine so too.
Yeah, I would imagine, because otherwise you're just like, I can't tell you, like, as a participant, if I got 5th place and, like, 2 of the people ahead of me got Nats invites and they're just like, oh, sorry, you
you just don't.
Yeah, I'm like, bro,
what do you mean?
What do you mean I don't get an invite? These dudes already got their plane tickets and Airbnb's already booked. Come on, man.
Yeah.
No, I can't imagine. That would be like soul crushing kind of thing. I can't imagine that would be the case.
I don't think they will either. Because they did a good job about doing that previously. Last year with the national invites, trickling down to players that had not received their invite yet.
Right.
But I don't know. This will be through
Well,
most of this will be through the app rather than through the regional signups that they did prior to. So I don't.
yeah.
It'll be interesting to see where it goes. Yeah.
That's fair. I feel pretty confident because the precedence has already been established, like you were saying with the regionals, in terms of bumping down the invites to the people that did not receive one. So I feel pretty confident in that it's the way they would go about it. So
Yeah, I agree. And I just love that they're doing this. I think
hmm
it's giving a lot of opportunity. I mean, there's just so many things that I could say that are good about stuff store regionals like this. The
hmm
reason why is because, for me personally, I know I see so many people that I love in the One Piece community that just travel to like every single event.
oh yeah,
And they go to like every offline, they do all
yep,
this, they play, they participate, they do that. You know, I am not good and consistent enough to be getting like a top 32, top 16 placement every single time I go to an event.
yeah.
So I can't afford to travel that much. You know what I mean? Like that's a lot of money. You're arguably spending close to $1,000 for
Yeah,
lodging, travel, and everything just to go to an
right.
event to potentially make your money back. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's a bit of
yeah.
a too much of a gamble for me to be spending that kind of money. Like,
I'm with you, brother. I
um,
mean, there's
and
other
this
logistics
alleviates
involved.
that. You know?
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I will say those that win their serial cards, you've got a lot of house money you can play with at that point.
That's fair. You get
And
top eight, you can
like,
travel
and
wherever, bro.
well, that's the thing. It's like if you're one of those players, it kind of snowballs where it's just like, you
Yeah.
know what?
Yeah.
I got my serial. I may not have placed, top 8 in like 3 or 4 tournaments, but that's okay. And then on my 5th or 6th tournament, I got another serial, so I'm just parlaying that into,
Fair. Yeah.
and that's just we're just talking serial. We're not talking all the other,
Top
you
eight,
know,
top 16, top
sure,
64.
but
Yep.
but all the other accoutrements you get as a top 8, it's not just the serial. It's the finalist cards. It's,
Yeah.
like if you made top 2, it's the playmats. It's, like, so there's a lot of things you can kind of parlay into funding your trips, but it's hard to get there.
Yeah.
That's like you're saying, that's a spot that is usually for the people that are on, and every other weekend they're at an offline
Oh,
event and
100%.
making things happen. And there's a good handful of people that have done very well for themselves doing just that with One Piece.
I mean, there's people that
So
have literally made a living out of this now.
facts, yeah.
Like
And
that is,
it's so cool to see. Real quick,
yeah.
because I just had this thought that just popped in my mind, and I
Yeah.
just want to share it again because there's been times where primarily me, you tend to, you've been critical of Bandai at moments, but there's times
Yeah.
where I've been like, I feel like I've been a little too harsh. But I want to say this: Bandai feels like they are finally getting caught up, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I know it, like with the store regionals coming out, like, with seeing how popular it is, with the way that the game development is going, the game design is going, and we still have our issues and grievances with the amount of product the lack of product we've been seeing, but
Yeah.
from from everything we've been told, that's gonna get fixed too. So I know, like, when I hear the store regionals and all these cool things that started, it's just kind of all came together. It's like, you know what? Good job, Bandai. Like, you know what? There's still some things that need, tweaking,
No
and
doubt.
there's
Yeah.
that's not me saying they're doing everything perfectly, but I will say is like it does feel like, from someone who genuinely wants to support the game and Bandai and all these things, and I'm willing to shell out money, hard-earned money for this kind of thing, and travel, like you're saying, to participate in games. Like,
Yeah.
it feels like, okay, like I feel more confident in dedicating my time, my money, my resources into a game that is like, all right, they're really giving us the fan service that I feel like a lot of us deserve. So props to them.
Yeah. I think you do have to give credit where credit is due. And,
Yeah.
as far as a lot of the announcements that we've been seeing, as far as reprint set with they chose a weird name for it. I'll say that, but
Yeah,
they
what
called
is
it
it?
the best. It's literally just called the best, booster set or something like that. But it's gonna have a absolutely insane amount of reprints in it. Coming, like, I think it's got an ungodly amount of super rares, even secret rares.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff.
Well,
So
different art too, which is cool.
yeah, different art, which is great.
Yeah.
So it does, like, it still entices people that maybe per se
More on the collecting
collecting
aspect of it.
aspect, exactly.
Yeah.
So it still
Hmm.
kind of like hits both markets, which is nice.
Right.
But I love that they are doing that. I think that all in all, that is great. It's
Yep.
healthy for the game. And
Yep.
then we've seen word, but we don't have full on details just yet of all the starter deck 15 through 20 are going to be more or less kind of reprints as well of
Hmm.
staple cards in each color. So I think that that is very good. And yeah, I mean,
What if they're,
oh,
you know what, just something kind of dinged right here.
sure.
What if they're using that starter deck 15, maybe closer to 20, but if they're going to be using, cards that are more or less already in circulation,
Mm,
are they going to try and take that time to maybe push our releases a little bit? Like can we get, because if we're kind of getting all these starter decks that are more or less kind of what we already have,
yeah.
it kind of buys them a little bit of time per se to try and make that push towards the release, simultaneous release between East and West, which would be really, really, like, to me, like, if there was one thing right now that I wish that
Oh,
Bandai, that dude, if
same.
we could have a simultaneous release,
Bro.
oh my
Woo!
goodness. My gosh, like
Yes.
that, it's amazing how that one little thing could correct so many things that I feel like genuinely take away from the game. That maybe, when you just said that, is like maybe closer to starter deck 20. Maybe that's kind of gonna be the window of which they're gonna use to try and use this simultaneous release. That'd be really cool.
That would be really cool. I think that that would be like that's probably the most like wanted
Yeah,
thing from the
priority
community.
number one.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the most wanted thing is a, a global release so that
right.
we're not just following an
Yeah,
already
man.
solved meta. We're
Yep.
going through everything ourselves and playing through it. And so that's,
Mm-hmm.
speaking of which, that's why, part of me is excited for EB01 but
Mm-hmm.
also not excited for EB01 simply because we have to play through the Sakazuki
Yeah.
meta all the way to
Right.
OP07. So, they're
Well, we have that weird window between Sakazuki getting banned and then set 7 coming out. And if I'm not mistaken, there's either a treasure cup or a regional in that window where it's like EB01 will be active, Sokka will be dead, and set 7 will not be here yet. Um,
Oh,
I'm almost
interesting.
I'm almost certain
Oh, I
that
didn't know
there's a
that.
treasure cup that takes place. It's kind of like what we had a while. There was another scenario like this where it was like this weird. I think it was like 4.5 meta where they
Yeah.
announced all the stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then and then the three captains weren't legal, and Whitebeard was banned. And it was just weird, kind of like
I remember that actually. Yeah.
it was like a wild wild west almost. It's like what leader are we gonna see in this crazy ass time right now?
Yeah.
And I want to say that there is a window in which that actually takes place again, between Sakaban and Set 7 being released.
Yeah, yeah,
So
no, that you're actually I didn't really think about it that way per se. But that makes a lot of sense. There might be like a weird week or two with that
yeah, it's a small window.
banner
It's
that's
a
going on.
very small window. Yeah.
Right, but just from EB01 launch to OP07,
Hmm.
just having Sakazuki like gaining kind of, a little bit more of a I wouldn't call it much of a buff, but
Yeah.
it's a buff, getting
Sure.
T-Bone, the potential usage of Brook as well. Uh,
Yeah.
I just think these cards are making the deck even better than it already is. So
Hmm.
I do think that, from the middle of May when EB01 is legal to the middle of June when OP07 comes out and Sokka's banned, it's gonna be a dark month. It's just gonna be Sokka taking everything. Well, maybe not, but I do believe that Sokka will be very, very strong.
Hmm.
And I
So
don't
you're telling me I need to play Ace all over again? Is what I'm.
basically, whatever the direct counter is, we need to.
Yeah,
We
and
need,
honestly, probably that matchup probably even got worse for Ace. So I don't even know. I don't even know if
yeah.
that's a thing anymore. To be honest with you.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I think that's one thing that like had me slightly disappointed was I think that they should have went more of the route of where, back in OPO3, or was it OPO3? No, yeah, no, OPO2 when they launched OPO2 overseas, they had Moby Dick as well as Kabaji, like active for a few weeks. And then before OPO2 even came out, they just banned it for us. They were like,
Kabaji, yeah. Moby Dick was a thing over here, but Kabaji was not.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Moby Dick was for a little bit. And then it got banned.
But Kabaji was the one that didn't even make it to us.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But still, like, I think that idea of just like preemptively going,
it's not gonna work.
We messed up. We don't want anyone that had to suffer over here, like or anyone that had to watch the suffering over here have to play through the suffering as well. So just let it go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be I'd be playing Black Yellow Luffy if that was the case. Like, I straight up would. But it's just that matchup is so miserable, so I can't do it for the treasure cups. Because I know I would just auto lose. But I could.
I'm kind of looking forward to it. And I think you're right. Like, I think the black decks, I still like every time I play against Moria, I'm like, there's a tweet that a friend, Dexter Riley, shout out Dexter, him and his wife make like a lot of really cool custom play mats and deck boxes and all this stuff. Ran into him actually in Arlington. It was really cool to meet him. But
did he have the tie and
what's up?
He usually wears like a tie and stuff. I see. Like, was he wearing a tie?
He was looking pretty drippy. He was, clean cut, like looking sharp.
Yeah,
so.
like the event he won, he had like on like a full suit and a tie.
Yeah. No, I don't.
I was like, let's go.
Arlington was kind of a blur to me because I just basically the moment I walked out of that arena, I just erased everything that took place in there. I was like, that didn't happen.
You're like, yep, I just had fun.
Off the drinks and pizza. But no, he brought up a tweet, and this is like, he literally said what I had in my mind the entire time I've ever played against a Moria. Is like, I don't know if another deck will ever be able to outvalue a Moria. Like, it's just like insane the value that Moria gets, and it's so tough to keep up with Moria at times. And I'm just like, it's just crazy. I guess what I'm just saying is, like, black in general. You're saying Black Yellow Luffy, and I agree. But I still very much think Moria is still going to be a very, very, very prominent deck as well.
No, 100%. I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah,
I do think.
But I agree. But But I like the Wild Wild West idea, like this like kind of weird in between, and like, again, you're probably not wrong, Ian. Like, it's just gonna be a lot of Sakazuki and probably
Moria.
A lot of Moria.
Yeah, and maybe
Red Purple Law will be a thing up by that time too.
100%.
And I don't, like, I can't really speak to the Red Purple Law EB01 builds going into Saka. I don't know how that matchup is, but Red Purple Law has always felt like a kind of a 50-50 between Saka and Red Purple Law. It hasn't felt like too dominant on one side or the other. It feels like kind of either one of them can win the game.
Yeah.
Moria definitely feels a little bit more lopsided in Moria's favor in that matchup. So I'm curious to see. My other thing, the other intangible here is I don't know how well Red Purple Law, like, NA has a very, like, we like to play things that are just like, swing, and like, there's something to be said that we've seen Saka's success, but I feel like Gecko is more straightforward than Saka and not as complex as Saka, and Gecko feels like it's like the more popular deck at the moment. So where I'm going with this is, like, I wonder how much NA is gonna play Red Purple Law and see all the different intricacies of the deck, and think this is what I want to play. And I genuinely believe that might be a factor that might keep Red Purple Law not as popular as what we've seen in the East. I could be completely wrong, but just judging from the playstyles from our previous sets, I don't know how much Red Purple Law really fits the NA mold, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I'm and you take that in with like Gecko and Sakazuki being really popular decks. I'm curious to see, like, how Red Purple Law really kind of finds its spot within the NA meta.
I think with the addition of EB and, like, kind of excluding OPO7 right now, but just EB01 in particular, I think a lot of people are going to run it, and simply because it does the best of, like, three things. It does a great job of removal, it does a great job of building the board, and it does a great job of applying a ton of pressure, right? So, and with that, it feels like you would be losing a lot of cards, but Reiju, like, saves you from that, right? Reiju allows you to get your hand size back into the game so that then you can still participate with how aggressive you're being. I think it is a very, very, very well-rounded deck that I can't imagine that it won't just be crushing in OP07. But
Mm-hmm.
I think in this weird spot between EB01 and OP07, I do think that, Sakazuki and Gecko, do have some form of, chance and like
Oh
winning,
yeah,
winning that matchup.
absolutely, yeah.
But it definitely felt like it was more of a Gecko favored matchup before
Mm-hmm.
EB01. But now with EB01, I actually
Mm-hmm.
think that Red Purple Law is very 50-50 with Gecko.
Okay.
It feels like there's just too many large swings, and you being able to remove my removal, and not by KOing it and putting it in my trash, but by
Mm-hmm.
bottom decking it and forcing me to draw into another one. If I do not see my removal
Mm-hmm.
multiple times throughout the game, it is a borderline almost impossible matchup. It is
Mm-hmm.
so rough. And like, you can be as aggressive as you want and swing into life, but it's not going to get you anywhere when you're staring down 5 characters on the board that are all 5 or 6k power. So it's,
Yeah, and I will
yeah,
say this: Red Purple Law has very aggro ramping now. There's like
yeah.
Ains, Eins. I don't know. Is it Ain,
I think it's
Ein?
Ein. Yeah.
Ein? Okay,
Yeah, I think
sorry.
it's Ein.
I don't know. I'm not. I've never watched the film videos, or I don't even know if she's in the anime because I'm not there yet. But
No, she's not.
okay, yeah, I thought it was just like the film thing, and I've never watched any of the film things. So, anyways, like that's a four of. You've got obviously Bon Clay, which is just an insanely good ramp
Yeah.
card in general. And from my play testing of the new Red Purple Law, your ramp is very aggro to the point to where I used to not play with 7 costs Ace. That was something that was like a tech choice for everything pre EB.
Yep.
And I still see some decks choose not to do it, but I will say this, like a common thing that you'll see is now that Ace is at least a 2 of, sometimes a 3 of in this deck, is that they'll go second, which is ideal. It's what you want to do. And then on 4, you're playing either Ain or Bon Clay, so the next turn you're on Ace.
Yep. 7.
And so
Yep.
I will say this is that with the addition of Bon Clay and 4 of Ain, like you're getting you're kind of in a little bit more of a mid-rangey spot than what you used to be as a Red Purple Law, where you used to be really aggro. Like you would play a Zoro with only 3 Dawn, and then you would leader ability if you had a Sachi Penguin. Where now is just like, you know what? Like I can not use my leader ability on turn 2. I can be in a much better place going forward because I've got 7 Dawn to work with on my
Yeah.
turn 3.
Yeah.
And then if I'm using Ace leader ability to bottom deck, I can come right back out with another either Bon Clay or Ain or something of that nature, just to help keep. And so it's been really like the deck has kind of a different feel to it, a little bit more mid-rangey, and I think because of that, it does do better into like Gecko, like you're saying. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. It still doesn't feel. It feels more. I'll just the way I can summarize it is it feels more winnable
Yeah.
than what it used to.
Yeah. That's why I said it was like closer to a 50-50 than it used to be.
Mhm.
Like, it definitely felt way more in Gecko's favor. But now they have a pretty good shot. But, speaking of a lot of these additions that everybody's going to be getting from EB01, EB01 was something we wanted to talk about and touch on, that there's just some information that I think is really important for anybody that's considering buying or has already bought boxes, or please God, I hope nobody's pre-ordered singles.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah. So that, like, let's just start with that. First things first is a lot of the price gouging for a set that is half of the normal or half of the amount of cards that we would get in a normal set.
Half the size.
I believe there's 63 in total, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I believe it's something like 63 or 61. I don't
61.
61. Okay. So there's 61 cards in this set, and the fact that people are putting these singles up for pre-orders, rares up for pre-orders for $5-10 a piece. These cards will be no more than 20 cents. Like,
It'll be a quarter.
It'll be a quarter at maximum. I mean,
Well.
you have to think about the fact there are 24 packs in each of these boxes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the same as any other set that we've had prior to. If you have half the amount of cards, that means there's going to be twice the amount of circulation of each of these cards, right?
Yep.
The only thing that you could argue about, like prices being maybe a little higher for some of these are super rares and secret rares, right? But we do have good information about that. But I believe the super rares are still going to be 7 per box, so they're still going to be like the normal amount, right? However, it does feel as though every single set Bandai's been doing, a little bit more, inventory of every set, right? So with OPO5, there was a good amount, but people wanted more because of the chase cards. OPO6, you have actually been seeing the prices falling down. There was a lot of hype for OPO6 because, excuse me, a lot of the cards were very useful, very popular, stuff like that. But the prices
Zoro manga helped out a lot too.
Oh, 100%. But the prices have been dropping for that. The boxes are going down, which is great to see.
Yep.
EB01 is going to be very similar. We're going to see these prices, the box prices, probably like drastically drop after I would say probably a month if I had to take a guess. Yeah. But I think that if you are looking to get your hands on these cards and you're like, "Oh, the price of box just seems too much," buy the singles. The singles will be much cheaper. They will be very very affordable. So I cannot recommend that enough. And then
I mean, you've got cards like Kid and Killer, which are going to be like a red staple for the near future, from what I can tell. And that's just a rare. It's not even a super rare. It's literally just a rare in the set. Like Kid and Killer cards are going to be more than abundant. Like like those are cards that you will be giving away like crazy. And for what it would appear, it's going to be a very strong red card for probably a good while.
Yeah, and some great news on the secret rares that I just found out yesterday is we only have one this set. It's the Mr. 2 Bon Clay. And usually speaking, in a case of any set that we've had prior to, there is 2 secret rares. So you would get 4 of each of the secret rares in all 12 of your boxes, right? So you have a playset of every single one. Now, this one, I was concerned when I first heard about it because I said, oh, shoot, we're going to have cases of 12 boxes still. Are they only going to print 4 of the secret rare? That means this card is going to be very high in price because it is a very useful card in what's going to be...
staple.
Yep, it's going to be a very useful card in what's going to be a meta deck. But good news is there will be 8 secret rares in the case, so it's the same amount, but it's only 1 card, which means that this secret rare should be very, very affordable. But yeah, that's good news. That's very good news.
Yeah, we take that.
Yeah, we take those indeed.
Absolutely.
And I've also heard something about the like there will be 4 leaders, even though there's 3 leaders in the set. There's still going to be 4 leaders in a case, which means you're going to get duplicates, of course.
Yeah,
and I think there was another thing about potentially not having 2 hit boxes in this set. Can't verify if that's true. But so far there has been some experience that there might not be 2 hit boxes, but
meaning there's going to be all 3 hit boxes?
All 3 hit boxes. So either secret 2 alts or 2 alts,
a leader and 2 alts?
Yeah, leader 2 alts or leader alt secret. Something of the sorts. Yet again, I can't verify if that's true. That's just what I've been kind of told and I heard, and I was like, oh, it's interesting. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I wish I had a case so I could actually do the numbers, but your boy does not have a case.
Neither do I.
This is like this is literally the first set where because when every set is released, I've had like the FOMO of like getting my hands on product and ripping booster boxes and trying to hit up the retail shops, the big retailers to try and just find loose packs. And if I walk in a Target and I see the packs, you damn right I'm gonna buy them. But this is like the first release, and it's not to say it's a bad set, but this is the first release with One Piece that I don't have that strong urge to just go crazy and just rip, an insane amount of packs. So My bank account is very happy for that. But yeah, it's this. I mean, this product. I'm leaning kind of like more what you're saying. There was a time when was it OP04 where like my local card shop was selling like 85 $90 booster boxes of
Yeah,
'04.
yeah.
And I'm hoping that we kind of find ourselves in a similar situation with the extra booster.
I think it's possible, especially with, like we said, there only being 61 in the set.
Right,
People getting the cards that they need much quicker than they would
right,
previously. So
right.
I don't see why we wouldn't
And
potentially. Yeah,
once the players get their play sets, they're kind of done with the product in terms of like,
yeah,
like that we kind of like the first 2 weeks are usually pretty chaotic with like pricing and trying to get your hands on the play sets. But kind of once the dust settles, I could absolutely see this being a product that's just kind of hanging out for a little while, to be honest with you.
yeah. I personally, I'm one of those people that I get my playset right,
Hmm.
and then I'll buy like one more box. I'll
Yeah, yeah.
usually
Oh yeah.
buy one more box and like see if I can get the big chase.
Yeah.
And if I can't, I'm like, you know what? You know what? I tried.
I'm a
Yeah.
I'm a DJ through and through. Like
Yeah.
there's like as much I mentioned that tweet yesterday that I was like telling people, hey, just be careful of the pricing. Like singles to be super cheap, and like
Hmm.
this is a set that you should be maybe aiming more towards buying singles than actually ripping product for.
Yeah.
But let's not get it confused. If your boy has the ability to buy MSRP or lower boxes, I'm
Oh,
gonna be
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm I'm gonna but yeah, these like 140, 150 booster boxes, I'm like, there's zero shot that
No.
this product is worth that. There's
No.
absolutely no way. But no, I mean, yeah, as much as I want to aim people more towards singles, I'm very much a victim of wanting to rip product too. So I get it.
You know, it's the nature of the beast.
Yep.
It's fun. It feels good.
It
And,
was great. I've pulled two mangas and I'm still just like, I'm sorry, I've pulled three. My mistake. My
woo,
bad.
stop flexing
Yeah,
on me.
my bad.
Jeez.
So like I get it. Your boy has actually had the high of like pulling those mangas and just and you pulled the sign Luffy too. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I
That,
mean,
whew.
that's something that you chase. That you're just like, man, that feeling is just it's a tough one to just say, nah, I don't want to go for that. It's just
It's
it's
never
hard.
going to go away. That that feeling of satisfaction after
Yeah,
getting
yeah,
like a really big pull like that,
yeah.
it's magical. I'm not
It
gonna lie,
is.
but
It's what hooks you.
yeah, yeah, it's what dreams are made of. But I don't think that that's a like a good mentality. Excuse me. To kind of base your purchase habits off of.
No, it's terrible.
Yeah,
It's absolutely terrible.
yeah, because I know that personally speaking, I bought a ton of boxes for like OPO 2, 3, and 4, and I never
Yeah.
got a good like I wouldn't say a bad hit, but I never got like a big hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't even think I hit like some of the leaders I wanted, which was ridiculous. I bought
That
a
hurts.
lot, man, and I was sitting there
Yeah.
like, oh, this is rough, dude. So
Yeah.
I personally am of the mindset that now, after playing this so much, yeah, I want to have my collection and whatnot, but more or less, I'm going min rarity. You know, I've had
Yeah.
I had my blinged out full art, decks and whatnot, and I was like, this is dope. But it got to a point eventually where I said, okay, I'm happy that I had that, but at the same time, like, I can just play the game and enjoy it uh, with the the regular version of the cards, and then I can bling out kind of like my winner sets, and that's what I
Hmm.
have now. Is I have like a really dope collection of like just kind of like the
Yeah.
kid and the play or finalist cards. Also have like all the store champ winners, the kind of events that they did, like the Uta event winner card,
Mhm.
the first anniversary, stuff like that. Like just getting those cards, that's really where I like find so much joy in the collection, is kind
Yeah.
of like collecting from my success
Yeah.
versus the collection from, let's say, more or less my luck,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I know.
And
I totally get that.
yeah, and I've just had so much. That's been like one. It saved me a lot of money because
A lot of
I
money.
was like, dude, I can sell all my
Yeah.
alt arts now. Hooray!
Yeah. See, I allow myself one deck to be fully blinged out.
Yeah, that's
One
fair.
and my main deck, and so like I'm already red purple law is fully blinged out.
Woo.
I only need, I mean, obviously just the new cards that are coming up
Yeah.
with Bon Clay and Killer and Kid are
Oh,
going to be the only ones.
good luck with Bon
Um,
Clay.
yeah, I'm still playtesting Chopper in that deck, so we'll see
Yeah.
if I need to. I'm kind of on the fence about that card, but I still need to try it out. But
Yeah.
so I say that I get one deck that I'm allowed to bling out, and then I buy play sets of every black alt that has ever come out.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
That's the one stipulation that I will have. It's like, because I know my heart is always like wanting to play black, and I'm
Yeah.
always gonna gravitate towards that. So when the time does come and I do switch back to black, then I want to have all of them. And it's just like, it's also like a nostalgia for me. Like I'm
Yeah.
like, you can relate to it. It's just one of those things that, like, black is just the color that makes me feel good. And
Oh,
like
yeah.
I'm at home. I'm at home when I'm playing black in One Piece.
Dude.
And so I've always, and dude, we got that Laboon alternate art. Are you
Oh,
kidding
yeah,
me,
that
dude?
looks
Like,
sick. Yeah.
I need a whole binder full of those. Are you kidding me, dude? So
It's, you know what's rough is that I don't think that card is super playable, right?
it's
like,
not.
It's not bad, but it's not great.
No, it's
But
it's
the
not.
altar looks so good.
The alt is so good, and
So
I
does the
think other
Brook.
part-
The Brook looks super
The
good
Brook
too.
looks amazing, and I think the other thing that's kind of like adding the cherry on top for me is I'm literally in the middle of Thriller Bark in the anime.
Ooh.
So I just met Brooke and the whole backstory, and I'm in the midst of it all with Gecko and Brooke and all. Yeah, so like I like as if I didn't love Laboon already. The whole backstory and everything. I'm like, yeah, I need these cards. I'm gonna need those. So.
Oh yeah. No.
So like. Well, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I personally was about to say I love the idea that you have one of each of the black alternate arts. That might be something I might go.
I get play sets of every black alternate art card.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not
my
financially yeah, no. We go full play sets of black cards. We don't do it. It doesn't matter if the card is meta or not.
Yeah.
We go full play sets of all black alts.
Oh, never mind. I was gonna say
Yeah.
I could potentially like start doing my one of collection.
I mean, hey,
I might have to, but man,
Just do
I can't
it.
be doing full play sets.
you can't be that far off from already there. No, I mean,
No, I
just,
sold off mine already.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I messed up, bro. I wasn't thinking
fair
about
enough.
it. I was like, yeah, I'm going min rarity. I don't need these cards anymore. And now I'm like, no, I missed them.
Yeah, I've got 2 mangas in my red purple law deck, and I'm not gonna lie, it puts me on edge sometimes when I'm handling that deck.
What,
where I'm just like
Manga Kid?
Kid and Ace.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
Yeah. I pulled both of those, and they're both in the red purple law.
Sheesh.
And I mean, there's something about min rarity that you're just like, whatever, I don't care. But then you got, our friend Faye. We won't go into the details of Faye's deck, but like Faye's deck is like when I even just holding the deck, I get nervous.
Yeah,
dude. I'm just like, golly, dude.
Like this shouldn't be
Just
legal.
Yeah, it's just. But so yeah, I'm looking forward to getting the play sets of the black. The 2 obvious cards that I feel like are bringing a big boost to the meta are gonna be Bon Clay and Kid and Killer, but I kind of wanted to like just quickly go over some of the other impactful cards for EB that may not be as because I think, would you agree that Kid and Killer and Bon Clay are probably the 2 biggest cards to come out of EB in terms of like how they affect the meta, or
I would
only because they give such a big boon to red purple law that is going to be a very, very strong deck from here on out.
Yeah, I would say there's a third one that I would put in there, and I think that's
Okay.
gonna be Flampe.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Flampe is just probably one of the 2K counters that will more than likely be a staple in many, many yellow decks to come.
Okay.
It's a 1-cost draw 2, and
Yeah.
get yourself down a little bit lower on life, which is great for Black Yellow Luffy, obviously, but it's also very effective for Enel, because Enel has that new card Raigo,
Yeah.
which is a 6-cost KO anything.
Yeah.
Just KO anything. And
It's the yellow red rock basically.
yeah, and it's just
Yeah.
I think it's like trash the total of your life. Trash your life until your total becomes 1. And for a
Right.
Nell, that's laughable. You're like, I'm always at
Yeah.
1. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm chilling at 1.
Yeah,
What are you talking about?
it's all good. So it's just
Yeah.
a 6 cost, remove anything off the board. Fantastic card. I think that
Mm-hmm.
that is going to be really good, but mostly because of cards like Flampe. I think that there's a world where Brook becomes one of the like best SRs. I think it's super balanced. By the way, I don't think that it's ridiculous. I think
No.
I think 3/4s are extremely balanced, and a lot of people don't realize like how influential that extra 1K is for a 3/5. Like
Mm-hmm.
3/5s are absurd, but
Yep.
Brook is fantastic. I think it's got such a potential future with that card. I really, really like that idea.
Well, the fact that it's an on play and a win attacking gives the card all the life that it needs, because we see a lot of cards that are just on play, and once you play the card, it kind of is just like it's more or less a vanilla
Yep.
after that. And the fact that it has the win attacking component to it is crucial for that card being as, you know, I won't say valuable because it hasn't, you know, I don't want to go that far because I haven't played it as much, but
Right.
it's what's going to give the card life in essence.
Yeah.
Because if that card doesn't get removed right away, which is always the stipulation these days with how much removal there is,
Yeah.
that card's going to put in work.
It
And
is
dare
gonna
I
put in work.
say, when King gets here, that card's going to get nasty.
Mhm.
Very, very nasty. I can't imagine having a 10-drop Kuzan and that Brook down on board, right? Like, can you imagine like what you're doing
I
with
didn't
a
even
10 drop?
think about that. Oh my
Dude,
god.
having a well, I will say this, and I don't want to get too far
Oh my
ahead of
God.
ourselves. 10-drop Kuzan's gonna come back in the meta really strong.
True.
I really believe that. I genuinely
True.
believe that, because the way that Black is gearing, like that card just becomes insane. It literally just activates so many other things, and not that it didn't in the past, because you know, I love 10-drop Kuzan. Like I loved that card, and I still love it. Like if I'm always looking for excuses to put in that card, like I will like cram it into a deck just because I want it in there. But cards like Brook with a 10-drop Kuzan and with like King's ability, oh my goodness, dude. Like
Yeah.
it's the value of this card I think is only going to get stronger as the power creep goes higher, and that's sick. I'd like that card, just looks so good too.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
One thing
excited.
for me,
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm excited for the fact that 10 cost Kuzan is actually something that is being ran. What is it in?
it's Black Yellow Luffy. It's like people are playing.
That's
in
it.
Black
That's
Yellow.
it. Black Yellow
It's
Luffy.
it's
Yes.
to kind of help circumvent the starvation. It's like,
Yes.
hey, if you're gonna let me get to 10 Dawn in like 2 life, 3 life, and I can drop this Kuzan
Yes.
safely, yeah,
Dude, I'm so excited
that's-
for Ropio 7.
Yeah, I know. Well, hey, we're on extra boost. We're on extra boost.
I know.
But yeah, no, seven things get really chaotic, and I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to it. I will say, and I know you've probably seen the same thing, is that there's been a lot of talk about purple yellow croc. The Lakers croc.
Are you about to talk about Okama Way? Because that's what I was about to bring up.
No, I was gonna bring. Well, what's the
Ooh.
one cost event that says you gotta swing
Okama
in the mist?
Way. That's it.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. No,
Yes.
you're right.
Yeah. So Okama Way
That card
is
so good.
Yes.
It is so, for one cost,
One
dude,
cost, bro.
which is free for purple yellow croc.
Yes.
It's like, well, it's not free per se, but
It's
like
free.
it's more or less free.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you can basically just be like, yeah, you're gonna go ahead and swing into my Kikunoju, and you're gonna heal me on top of like, you know, dude, that card is so cool to see. Yeah, that card really caught my eye when I was seeing it actually being played.
If that card didn't say if your leader has Baroque Works in its types, that would be the most busted card in the game.
Oh gosh,
In the
immediately a
game.
purple staple.
It
Yeah,
is. It is so good.
It is.
It's still borderline busted.
It's
you know,
it's so good.
It's fantastic. I love the fact that you know, for one Dawn -1, you can change the direction of any attack, and this just works so well with purple yellow croc. Having cards such as Kikunojo that allow you to heal, so it's like, hey, for one Dawn, I just forced you to give me a life. Thanks. And then you could also force like attacks into really small little things. Like you have your 2-cost searcher.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting the name of her, but there's a 2-cost searcher that you like,
Oh,
hey,
it's the one with the she has a little umbrella.
yeah, yeah.
Is it? It's not Miss Wednesday.
No, no, that's
No,
not. But
no.
I can't remember the name of her right now. Oh, I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like
I know
Miss
you're talking.
Valentine or something. But
Yeah, yeah. There you go. There
yeah,
you go.
but you know, and then you also have like these massive attacks coming through. Like you have like a 9K coming at your face, and you're like, oh, well, I don't have anything other than like a Yamato on board. Let me
Mhm.
change the direction to Yamato, and now I can just give you a 1K counter.
Yep.
It's like, it's so cool. I think that
It's so good.
it's a really good card for Purple Yellow Croc. I'm interested to see where that goes. I think that deck as a whole is going to be very, very fun now that there has been like a little bit of a buff there.
Yeah, and I think that's the way I would describe it, because I think some of the hype of the deck has gotten a little carried away, where people, it's like it's a thing now.
Yeah.
And I guess, you know, technically it's a thing in the sense that it can kind of compete and you can use the deck and not just kind of auto lose.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
I don't really see it being like a thing. So but it's cool. Like cards like this are like super fun to like, all right, this is actually like a really cool mechanic to. I will say this though, I am disappointed about the 3 leaders as they come out. On release, the 3 leaders were definitely the one thing where I was like, damn, like there's, as of now, it is not a single viable leader that you can do anything with, and that's kind of like the where the disappointment kind of sets in for me.
I had my hopes so high for Red Green Odin.
I was gonna say
I
Odin, yeah,
really truly did. I was
yeah.
like, "Oh man, this is going to be such a sick deck." And then I went and played it and I was like, "It's fun. It's not the worst thing in the world." However, there's just the Land of Wano cards that support that deck right now are just, they're outclassed by everything
Yeah.
else in the meta. There's
Yeah.
really old cards. Most of them are like OPO1 to like OPO2 cards, and they're just outclassed. I mean, there's just
Yeah.
better 5/4 cost cards that are ran in every other list, every other deck,
Right.
every other color.
Right.
So I think there's a world where that deck is eventually like so cool. And
Sure.
we're definitely, it's not the end of the world. We're not gonna see, we're not gonna see Land of Wano support. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
I think a really interesting card that I ended up feeling the wrath of one time was Inazuma. So 6 cost 7K with 1K counter. This super rare is at the end of your turn. If you have 2 or less cards in hand, draw 2 cards. I
An
was
Ivankov card, it
I
sounds like,
was
huh?
playing against Ivankov,
Yeah.
and here is the play, right? So you get Inazuma onto the board. You start
Mm-hmm.
doing things like you're countering out of everything. You get to 0 cards in hand
Yeah.
at the end of your turn through
Mm-hmm.
playing. Like this was wild. He played he had the stage, right? Where he played Inazuma down through the used stage to trash everything in his hand except for 7 cost why am I forgetting the name of it? 7 cost Ivankov. Played Ivankov into Inazuma, chose not to draw 3 through the 7 costs effect,
Mm-hmm.
and instead said no to that. I'm gonna draw 2 for leader effect, and then Inazuma procs. You have 2 or less cards.
Mm.
Draw another 2. 4 card cycle every single turn, basically. So you just keep countering out, and you
Yeah.
get to. It was insane. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
god, dude, is Ivankov a thing now? What the
Yeah,
world?
I could see. I mean, there's some good support going on there. I
Yeah.
could see it kind of being a thing. It does feel nice when you can use cards just like literally counter out of everything because you don't care.
Yeah.
You're just like please take the
Yeah.
cards. Like I don't want these. Like just
Sure.
yeah, get rid of it. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll +3 on a 7K swing. Sure.
Yeah, it's insane.
No.
But I love that, and I love the idea. But I want to say, like, to kind of, I would say like the last card that, or last cards per se, that I would think had really interesting value in the EB01 set are going to be the green Sanji, film Sanji, as well as the Bluno, the film blocker. And the reason
Yeah.
why is because when EB01 first came out in the Eastern meta, we ended up seeing that green Uta, starter deck 11 Uta, ended up taking a
Remember
whole
that.
championship
I remember that. Yeah.
because of these additions. It makes the
Yeah.
deck more consistent. So I'm interested in this EB01 meta. Are we going to see a rise of Uta once again?
I think that could definitely be a thing.
It might be,
100%.
man. It might be.
I think it can. Now I know these aren't Uta cards, but the other green cards like Hiyori add a
Oh,
different
Hiyori's
twist.
busted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I was watching some gameplay with and Cavendish. Like those
Mm-hmm.
those in the set and Bonnie are just like
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
you doing some nasty combos with those cards. So
Yeah.
there's definitely some good cards in here that it's nice to see that they're gonna have a pretty good impact on the meta going forward.
I just always
The
love to
little blue one.
see green getting some love, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I honestly, green is like oh, I say that, but yellow probably is. I just never gravitated towards green. Green has never really been my thing. The only time I really enjoyed playing green was when it was tied with black, when I was having fun with Isho.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, green as an archetype doesn't really appeal to my style of gameplay, I guess is the best way I know how to put it.
I just like the
Uta's
film
fun, but it
engine.
just feels like yeah. Uta's fun, but it just feels like I'm doing the same thing more or less over and over and over.
Yeah.
It's just like, all right, turn 4, play Luffy, play play Brook, play Nam, and it's just like, all right. I need different lines to take than just like play 7 cost Luffy,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and but
I enjoy
I'm-
Uta, so I'm gonna try it out. I'm gonna give it
yeah,
a
no,
shot.
I don't dislike it. It's just like there's a lot of other things I'd rather be playing than Uta, to put it that way.
Yeah.
I want to go back and revisit purple black Z after EB drops, and kind of that purple black's always been a cool color combination that I've enjoyed.
Oh, it will
so
in OP08.
Yeah,
Yeah, King.
King is gonna be for sure a thing, for sure. It's gonna be a coin flip between King and Marco for me.
Yeah, both of those. look really good.
I like where they're going with both of those, and I think I've got, like, because I played Ace, I've got like all the Whitebeard pirate alts, so I'm already kind of set up for Marco.
Ooh, true.
So naturally, I kind of want to give that a shot. But if all else fails, then King, I'd be super content with playing purple black King for sure.
Oh yeah, and I mean, personally, I mean, this podcast ended up touching on a lot of like EB01 today, but we're super excited about going over some OP07 and OP08 as well in the future. But I mean, we just wanted to kind of touch on sort of like what's happening with EB01 right around the corner. We've got the a lot of the tournaments that are coming up with, the Sokka ban also looming around the corner within about a month and a half. And it's just really interesting. I find ourselves in a very interesting meta. It's going to be unique in a way that, in previous sets we had 2, maybe contenders, 3 at the most. And now there's quite a healthy amount. It looks like, I don't know if I would say EB01, but like more end of EB01 into OP07, we're getting into the healthiest meta that we've probably ever seen.
Yeah.
The most leaders that can potentially top in a lot of these events. So I think that this is going to be like probably the most unique one that we've had so far.
I would agree, and it's really cool because I kind of, to touch on the point I was making earlier, it feels like Bandai's finally starting to catch their stride, right? Where it's like everything is really starting to come together. We don't have like a lopsided meta, although some would argue that. But I'll be honest with you, like I feel like we're in a better place now than we were for set 5. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
The set 5 meta for me was I just was like, I'm done with this. I'm over it.
It got to
But
it got to a point.
Yeah, and the other thing is like what's been really nice is that we've had this starter deck release, and anytime there's a new deck, even if it's something like Uta, it does bring in, like Uta was very straightforward gameplay. There wasn't really anything to crack with that leader, right?
Right.
But it did bring in a new leader and a new style of play, and so like it was a little breath of fresh air. Then we have the starter deck 13 that came out. It's the same thing. It's like, oh, I get to play with new toys. And then we've got extra booster, which for the first time ever, we've never had a quote unquote special set with Bandai.
Right.
And the fact that a special set drops in between two, main sets to kind of break it up.
It's
Man,
I like it.
It feels so good.
I
And then
like it.
like I said, you throw in a starter deck in the mix,
Woo.
and you want to talk about like a fun little 3-month window.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I'm loving it. This
Yeah.
is great. It feels super fun right now.
Feels like I don't have to get burnt out on the same deck every single time, and I'll take that
Yes.
all day.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm 100% with you. So I feel like we're getting we're getting there, Ian. Like
Yeah.
we're getting to
We're getting
a really
we're getting
nice
a
spot.
peak.
We are. It genuinely feels that way. It's like, like I have full faith that they'll continue to impress and create game design that will make us stick with it. But it feels like we're finally like, there's a lot of times, like for instance, when a game developer release a game and it feels like you're almost playing the demo of sorts, and I mean like a video game, because like it's not until like a 2 or 3 patches later that you feel like you're finally have the finished of like what the game was kind of like meant to be by design.
Yeah.
And that kind of feels like we've kind of gone through this with One Piece, where it's like they're kind of like figuring out, how to navigate this and not have an overly dominant leader or just a boring meta. And it feels like now we're getting into the meat and the substance of like One Piece TCG, and that's just the feeling that I've got right now with everything going on.
I couldn't agree more, bro. And we're excited to keep talking about it, and we're gonna have so much OPO7 as well as a lot of probably in the next few weeks we're gonna be going over maybe some of what's happening with EB01 launching into a lot of the treasure cups that are going on. So. Guys, can't thank you enough for listening, staying tuned, being a part of what we got going on here. Appreciate you as always. To all of our people listening on Spotify, thank you so much. And if you guys are checking us...
We see you, Spotify. We see you.
We do. Yep. And everyone here on YouTube, as always, thank you so much. But hope you guys enjoyed, and obviously we're going to have all of the socials and everything over here, so if you want to check us out on Twitter, X, YouTube, all that good stuff, Twitch, show us some love. But until the next time, hope you guys have a good one. Peace
Out.